Welcome back. You're watching Pioneer Governors. With me tonight is Governor Roba. Let's talk about after the handshake. There's been a lot of conversation. Let it be devolved. And one of the elements that stands out, for instance, in Mandera County is the clan politics. And my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Gare, apparently you had promised you'd only run for one term and then, run for another. And some parties were not too happy. And so there are those internal divisions. Talk to us about that and what you're doing, if at all, to cure them, to ensure then that spirit of oneness is being felt in Mandera.
Thank you very much. First, just a point of correction, Sophia. We've never promised to run for one term.
It's what they alleged. Some
that
some
is
of
the allegation.
Elders, yeah.
Because politics is a career. Once you decide to say, I will go join political career, then you can't do part-time. And this is what happens. So, but we've had some, at the advent of devolution, what happened was we had, before devolution, we only had Mandera Central, Mandera West, and Mandera East. So 3 constituency positions only. And then we had councillors, X number. There are not many positions. So after the constitution was passed in 2010, the positions moved from 3 to 6 parliamentary seats because each of the 3 constituencies were divided for Mandera. And then there was the senator, the women rep, the governor, and deputy governor. So the positions from 3 jumped to 10. And then there were members of the county assembly, 30 wards. So you look at about 40 positions that just came into being. The Gare community then, with a lot of excitement, had to come together to say, the positions we were fighting over was only 3. But now there are 40 positions. Why don't we find out a formula to share in an amicable, discussion where then this clan, that clan gets that. At the time, it was extremely attractive because these positions were not held by anyone. These are positions that came into being. They're new. So that is what brought this Council of Elders issue. They were not there before. And then they said, you spearhead this program of how we can share these slots. And then further discussion ahead didn't take place. So when we came into being, of course, through that arrangement, various sub-clans, depending on the way considerations were given positions, and everybody was contented, except internally also the most populars edged out the less populars with that arrangement because of the political might in terms of numbers. And that was the challenge that we had, and then we moved in. We gave our best to the level that, we put our lives online. Many events happen. You institutionalize devolution in that county. You go through the teething problems and the challenges of devolution, manage expectations, security, tribal clashes, Al-Shabaab, and work through these challenges. And every day do your best, with the help of God, to deliver. Only to expect that at least you work that hard, you expect the population will vote you back. Yeah, and then the elders made some arbitrary decision that all the 39 elected members should go home. That one was not acceptable. So we had to make a decision. Who did I serve? I served the population of Mandera. Now, and this is a very interesting question you've asked. I serve the population of Mandera. And only the population of Mandera will be able to be the judge of whether I've served them well or not. And I was going to be extremely contented to be democratically voted out by the population on the basis of my performance or any other leader's performance. So when that statement came up, I just took a stand. I say, owing to the democratic environment prevailing in the country, if performance is not a factor, and then it's just let's shape these positions and we dish out like you're dishing out plates of food. I say, wewe umekula miaka tano, wewe kula miaka tano. I mean, it was not going to work. So I say, I will present myself to the public. And I say anybody else, can follow the negotiated arrangement with the elders. We didn't have any problem with anyone competing against us. We say, if you choose, you want to be anointed by the elders, so be it.
Yeah.
It's a form of democracy.
It has always been seen that this negotiated democracy, as it's called, is one that allows for peace and tranquility to prevail without antagonizing. So your decision...
It's not true, by the way. Right. Before 2013, there has never been negotiated democracy in Mandera. And in 2013, when I was running as a governor, and I was anointed by the community to run at that time, I still had 2 competitors running against me from the Gari community, and every position had a competitor. There's never been a time that, that proposal ever worked. But 2013 it became more attractive because positions were new. Yes. And it was given. The second issue is when Kenya is maturing politically, and then you find an Indian getting elected as member of parliament in Uasin Gishu, and a Somali in Laikipia, and another Somali in Kamukunji, and another Indian in Meru, another one in Kisumu, and the level of political maturity in our population is growing. We, subscribe to some barbaric ideology of saying we will not only deny other Kenyans from participating in political programs across the country, but you will go further in antagonizing yourselves by denying yourselves in growing political leaders with profiles in this country.
And is that something you're allowing to percolate now to the elders, to the entire leadership?
Absolutely.
So that they don't still feel that you're going your own way and
No, I'm coming
rebel.
to that issue. The issue I'm coming up with is, of course, somebody has to stand up and shape so that the prevailing political environment in northern Kenya is similar to prevailing political environment in Kenya as a nation. Why should the political programs or democratic space in Mandera be any different from Nyeri or Nairobi? You understand? So if a concept is wrong, it must take someone to say it's wrong. And you will pay the political price. Of course, there was no guarantee that was going to be elected back by the population. But the population subscribed to the ideology that I was sharing, a lot more than the other ideology. Now, of course, the election is over. The natural default position should have been, after elections, there shouldn't be any disagreement. May the best candidate win, and whoever wins provides leadership for the whole county. We, under the Jubilee, party that my lineup ran with, that was our position. And we even stopped most of the people who have lost, because EFP won some seats, we won some seats, of course, and everybody has won some seats. And we say, don't file any petition, accept and move on. But there was petitions that were filed, against me, against the Senate and that. Now we continue engaging, so that we can have an amicable agreement. Right. And finally, we've managed to break through, with our opponents, and they have withdrawn the appeal case, against me, and against the senator is ongoing. We hope against Mandera North Member of Parliament also it will be done. We will inevitably, it's not our desire to provide leadership to a group in a county. Yeah. It is our absolute desire, commitment, wish, expectation, with a lot of desperation, that we will provide leadership to a unified population across the whole county, across the communities. Then we will leave no stone unturned in reconciling the community. Right. But then we will reconcile the community and also will entrench political maturity, where differences on the basis of political competition in a democratic country like Kenya should not lead to many disagreements and bloodshed. Now in Mandera, we've only managed to compete against each other aggressively, but it never led to any bloodshed or war or that. Of course, it was very fierce competition, and a few bruises here and there will always be there in political competition, but that's what we have.
So we just had the budget read, and many of the governors I've spoken to always bring about the issue of allocation to the counties. There's not enough money, and in terms of revenue generation, there's only so much counties can do. A lot of it is to sit back and rely on what comes from the national government. And also for Mandera, there's a equalization, it is a fund. Does that make a difference in as far as trying to lift it up to the measure of the other counties that have been closer to the center?
Okay, I will, maybe in terms of resources, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto can attest to the changes that is happening under devolution in all the 47 counties. During the last general election, they have crisscrossed across the country, and they've seen improvement in roads, water, health, and this. We believe with time, more resources will be devolved, because the reality that a lot has been done and a lot could be done at the county level will sink in, and that we will wait. But I will respond to the issue of equalization fund. The envisaged position by the Constitution for equalization was to address inequalities in terms of development owing to deliberate marginalization by successive governments in Kenya. We, the pastoral communities that are marginalized, believe devolution is God sent for these marginalized regions. Then the drafters of the Constitution and Kenyans who passed envisaged this position that because every county is going to get shareable revenue, but the level of underdevelopment is, very different from county to county, and marginalized counties have suffered. Previously, marginalized counties have suffered immensely in terms of underdevelopment of all sectors. Equalization fund was brought forth to say, let's address that state of underdevelopment for them to develop a bit faster. That was supposed to start in 2010, and now I think over, including maybe the coming financial, 15 billion is being held as equalization fund unutilized.
Wow.
About 1 billion has been used because of bureaucracies within our system. The government had the machinery, the laws allowed conditional grant for the various functions that it's meant for. That resources, just like some Danida fund, World Bank fund, or conditional grant by national government to a given hospital is happening. Equalization fund could have been used as such in order to make sure that the purpose it was meant for is, we realize this development a lot faster. But what happened? Some bureaucracies holding on to the money, challenges of this and that. Up to now, the money has not been utilized. And what is worse is that when marginalized counties, the 14 counties, you land anywhere and you can see the state of underdevelopment in every sector. My brothers, my colleagues, the other governors and other members of parliament from privileged areas have started lobbying, and they say, you know what, we have pockets of marginalized areas in Kiambu. We have pockets of marginalized areas in Nyeri or Kisumu or Kisii and that. And the whole concept and the object for what it was intended for has been lost. CRA has picked this ideology and turned it into a formula. And they say we are identifying marginalized areas in the country, meaning pockets of marginalized pockets. When you have a whole 26,000 square kilometers of land that is doesn't have 1 kilometer of tarmac road, you know, and that issue. So this is the concept we have, and unfortunately, I feel in this area, Kenyans have not been able to mature well in terms of accepting the reality that developed Mandera is good for Kenya. You know, while there is excess population in Nyeri, Kiambu, or Kisii, there is a lot of vast, you know, land that can be used. And Kenyans will be able to look for opportunities to work in Mandera, in Garissa, in Wajir, in Turkana, and anywhere else. And that if we develop the 47 counties well, then you will look, maybe you think about it, we need it. In Mandera, for example, you talk of Juakali sector, we need it. Dairy farming, you need it. Production, and if you develop that area, then just like Somalis will leave northern Kenya and be in the 47 counties looking for opportunities, other Kenyans will go to these areas to try and set up the opportunities. Denying them is denying real economic growth to this country.
As we bring this to a close, you have your second and final term as governor now, Mandera. What do you hope your legacy will be? What is that one thing you want after you're done with this term? They will look back and say, for this we say, thank you, Governor Roba.
Well, one critical issue is first, peaceful Mandera. You know, I will leave no stone unturned in making sure that the cohesion and integration of communities within Mandera works flawlessly well. As well as also the issue of external threats like Al-Shabaab, in partnership with the national government, we'll do our best. My dream is to see Mandera connected to the national grid in terms of national road network, national electricity, you know, network, and in order to make sure that Kenyans are able to move from anywhere into Mandera and out of Mandera, set themselves up. That we are working. You know, there's FCDC, Frontier Counties Development Council, that we have gotten, and there's a bit of goodwill from national government, county governments, and the population. So we are hoping for the best. Turning pastoralism from a way of life into viable economic activity. Now we've managed to mitigate the impact of drought, and we are less susceptible to drought unlike before. Of course, the challenge is still there. So population of livestock is going to grow. I believe with conviction, livestock sector can outperform coffee and tea. With conviction. And I've traveled vast. I've seen what it can do. The only thing is the national priority has not, livestock has not found its rightful place in national priority in terms of planning. We need to turn and get that program also working. Even if I can't get it perfectly well, I must lay the foundation towards that achievement. And improved healthcare, you know, bringing the maternal mortality rate for Mandera. Now we've brought it down to 588 from 3,700, you know, to the national average, more or less to the national average. And that program we're working on, and with the help of Almighty Allah, I will be, you know, looking at getting out of, you know, finishing my second term as a governor at the age of 48. I still will be within my population in Mandera, you know, to work, live, and amongst them.
Yeah.
I want them to look up to me as someone who has transformed their lives.
And we wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
And so after 2022, presidency perhaps, what next?
No, I haven't thought that far. I have just taken one step at a time. I have my responsibility cut out for me now as a governor serving his second term of government. But definitely we will play a pivotal, critical role in national politics. All right. Whichever way
it goes.
That is going.
Thank you very much. Handshake.
Thank you very much. We will devolve it to the county as it is.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.